Hello, and welcome back for the installation and maintenance video. I am Matt, and I will take you through the steps that you need to both install and then inevitably maintain and build upon the system. Likely the only piece of software that you will need to install for this project is Node.js. In order to do so, please navigate to nodejs.org and download the most recent version for your system. Please note that the versions may differ depending on the time of download. If your computer does not already have Python, you will also need to download Python. You can do so by visiting python.org/downloads in order to find the recommended version of Python that you will need. Please download the 3.0 or higher version for this project. Next, you'll need to go to the GitHub repository and download or clone the project to your local computer. Once you have done so, open the project in your favorite IDE. This is a view of Sublime, and also open it in a terminal of your choice. Here, in order to build the project, we must first type in the command npm install. What this does is it installs all the dependency packages that this project uses. It's very simple. It may take a while depending on your internet connection. Next, once all the dependencies are installed, then we'll need to type another command, which is npm run dev. What this does is it sets up a watcher on the project, and it will recompile the project anytime that files are changed. It's very convenient for development, but not recommended during production because you don't want it building and closing down your server every time. In order to actually boot the server, you need to run npm start. What that does is it'll start up the server, assuming that everything has been compiled already. And then you can view your project at the localhost :8080, like we see here. And that's it as far as installation goes. So let's take a brief look at maintenance and the project's structure. So if we go into the code folder, we'll see a few folders at the top level: algos, client, node modules, server, and simulation. Node modules is where all your installed dependencies live. The algos folder and the simulation folder are from versions 1.0. We left them in there in case any team later needed to reference any of this original code. The client folder is all the source code for the Angular app that we use on the front end and its associated views. It is noted that only the HTML files are actually served by the server. All the JavaScript in here is compiled into a static folder inside the server. So if we take a look at the server, we can see that there's a lot of stuff going on. We have an algorithms folder, a data folder, a routes folder, a static folder, and a views folder. So the algorithms folder is essentially a port of the original algorithms, just with JavaScript wrappers around them. They're still built in Python. It's just that they needed to be adjusted a little bit so that we could spawn childs of them from the server. The data folder houses our templated GeoJSON data. Ideally, this will either come from an API down the line or a database, but for now it's just static files that are being served by the server. The routes is where a lot of the API is managed. So if we notice we have an API, we created a version 2 with all our major routes, and it is divided up into an index.js and a routes. So routes are where you define the actual endpoints for the API, but the index is where all the calculation and all the API stuff happens. So the idea is that you set up the routes, but inside the routes you call the actual API, which is the index.js. And we have a stacks folder that serves our static files, like our HTML files, our JavaScript files, our CSS files. And then we have a views that wasn't really built into the main project, but only really used for testing. And then our index inside the server is the server itself.